Here we have our note packet, page 10, volume of a prism. This is on page 10. Okay, volume refers to the amount of space inside, so far it sounds like area, right? Inside a three-dimensional figure. So when we talked about area, it was a two-dimensional figure. This is three-dimensional. Volume is always measured in cubic units. So instead of just length and width, we have a length, a width, and a height. And all we have to do to find the volume of a rectangular prism, like a box, is to multiply those three lengths together. So length times width times height. Length times width times height. Let's look at some examples. This prism has a height of 3 millimeters, a length of 10 millimeters, and a depth or width of 6 millimeters. So to find the volume, all we have to do is multiply these three numbers together in any order. It doesn't have to be length first and then width and then height, because you could turn the box and then you could redefine which side is which, right? If you turn the box, then maybe the 6 could become the height. So just doesn't matter. You multiply your three numbers together. 3 times 10 times 6. So we have 3 times 10, which is 30, times 6, which is 180. Now since this is cubic units, we're going to go millimeters cubed. This next box has a length of 9.3 miles, a width of 2.2 miles, but we don't know the height. However, we do know that the volume is 77.7 miles cubed. And if this is some sort of huge fish tank or miles, though, maybe just a river that would be approximately shaped this way, or a canal or something. I'm just trying to figure out what we would have that would have that kind of volume size. All right, so since volume is the three numbers multiplied together, and we want to find the height, that means we need to take the volume and divide the other two numbers. Multiplied, I mean, they would be multiplied together and then both divided from the volume. Okay, so we're going to take our 77.7 and divide by the length, which is 9.3, and the width, which is 2.2. So I'm actually going to multiply those two numbers together, or if you want to do it all in your calculator at once, you can use parentheses around the two numbers that you're multiplying in the denominator. So 9.3 times 2.2. Now, if you were to just put this in the calculator without putting parentheses or without calculating that bottom part first, and you actually just did 77.7 divided by 9.3 times 2.2, then that 2.2 would actually times the 77.7 and you would get the wrong answer. So that's why I'm saying it might just be easier to multiply those together and find that number separately. Or just make sure you use parentheses right here around those numbers. The other parentheses wouldn't even matter. You would just use a times symbol in the middle. Okay, we're not done yet. We've got to go 77.7 divided by 20.46. And we get 3.797653959. So obviously we're going to have to round it, approximate it. These have 1 decimal point each. So I'm going to round this to 1 decimal point. So it does say 3.797. So the 9 is going to round that 7 up to an 8. And since this is cubic miles and these are each miles, this would be also in miles. A fish tank in a doctor's office is 5 feet long by 2.5 feet high with a depth of 2 feet. Ugh, I like having pictures, but sometimes I don't like drawing pictures. So, we draw a box of some sort here, and then put some depth to it. Actually, when I doodle, I like to, like when I'm in a boring meeting or something, I like to doodle three-dimensional shapes. That's one of my things, and then shade them so they look more three-dimensional. All right, let's label our fish tank. So it's 5 feet long and 2.5 feet high with a depth of 2 feet. What volume of water is needed to fill the fish tank? So these are all in feet. We're just going to multiply the three numbers together. 2.5 times 5 times 2. Using a calculator, I get 25. I actually did that calculation in my head pretty easily because the order we multiply in doesn't really matter. So if you think about it, 2.5 times 2 is 5. And then if you multiply the 5, you get the 25. So that is in cubic feet. 25 cubic feet of water. Number 4. If the volume of a shipping box is 2,430 square inches and the bottom of the box has a surface that is 24 inches by 12 inches, then what is the height of the box? Okay, we need another box. I feel like I'm just going to copy this box, but that means I want it all to be connected. So grab each little piece here. It's going to take me a second. And group it. And paste it. Oh, it just went over the top of that. There we go. Good, good, good. Let's label our box. So it has 2,430 square inches. Volume? There's a typo. Cubic inches. And the bottom of the box has a surface that is 24 inches by 12 inches. Then what is the height of the box? Okay, so volume is length times width times height. So we know our length is 24 and our width is 12. And again, we need to find the height. So to do that, we're going to take our volume, which is 2430, I'm assuming, even though the unit was wrong. And we're going to take 2430 and divide by both 24 and 12 multiplied together. So we have a product, 24 times 12. And that gives us the area of the bottom of the box. But then we divide the box volume by that area to get the height. So again, you might want to multiply it separately or make sure you use parentheses when you put it in your calculator. 24 times 12. So that gave me 8.43. Okay, last one. Find a length, width, and height for a rectangular prism that will result in a volume of 455 cubic centimeters. I'm sure there are many different answers for this. We just need three numbers that multiply together. Length times width times height. And we want our number to turn into 455. Well, this is kind of a factoring problem because we just need to find three factors. So since this number ends in a 5, I'm pretty sure it's divisible by 5, right? So if we take 455 and we divide by 5, my calculator says that would be 91. Ooh, now that's a strange number. Is 91 divisible by anything? That seems like it might be a prime number. I said try something really strange like 17 and it didn't divide in. 17 didn't divide in. How about let's try something weird like 13. Oh, guess what? 13 went in evenly. It took me a minute to figure it out. But 91 is actually 13 times 7. I don't know my 13 times table, so that didn't come to me easily. So in other words, 455 comes from multiplying 5 times 13 times 7 together. So length, width, and height for that prism would be 5 by, I'll just use an X. 5 by 7 by 13 would be a good dimension for that prism. Now, we don't have to use whole numbers. We could use decimals. There's nothing that says we can't. It doesn't have to be integers. So what if instead of that we did 455 divided by 10? Then that gives us 45.5 left over, and then we could divide that by 5, sure, and then we get 9.1. So what if we used something like 10 times 5 times 9.1? That would also give us the right answer. So there are infinitely many answers. As long as we don't care that it's not integers. Why don't you come up with a sum on your own that will multiply together to get 455? You can really take 455 and divide it by any number you want to that's less than 455, and then divide that number by any number, and you'll end up with a number that will be definitely a decimal.